version. What you meant for evil, God turned around for good.
Yes, Lord.
See, if we truly forgive someone, we don't desire to see them squirm in misery forever, because that is not in their best interest as much as it might be enjoyable by us. Let me say that again. We don't desire to see them squirm in misery. Let me say that again. We don't, if you've truly forgiven, this is how I check my heart. If somebody's talking to me about how they forgave somebody but still wants that person to suffer, there's a good chance you haven't forgiven them. You have to labor for the Lord. You need to fast and pray until you want them to have the truth in their life so they can change. And then secondly, it's obvious that Joseph had risen above his past because he allowed his brothers to rise above their past. If you can't let others forget it, then you haven't forgiven it. Did you hear that? If you can't let others forgive, you got to keep reminding a person of what they did to you. There's a good chance you haven't let it go. Let me say that again. If you got to keep reminding a person of what they've done to you and how they've done it to you, there's a good chance you haven't truly forgiven the way God forgives. Amen? When the Bible speaks of saying he remembers it no more, it doesn't mean that he gets amnesia. It means he chooses not to bring it up. Because God is all-knowing. You got to choose, even though it may seem convenient, even though that hurt. Sometimes the person can, you ever got hurt by somebody and you forgive them, and when they do something similar to it again, it's like that wound is opened back up.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You got to choose to keep it closed.
Yeah.
Amen. Thank you for the clap. You got to choose to keep it closed. Next week we'll have the nursery. Thank you for your patience. Thirdly, true forgiveness continually releases our offender from the obligation to us. It's my last point. True forgiveness releases our offender from the obligation to us. Genesis 50, verse 19 through 21. But Joseph told them, don't be afraid of me. Am I God to judge and punish you? Some of us think we are God. He had the highest position in the land, but he knew he wasn't God. As far as I'm concerned, God turned into good what you meant for evil. He brought me to the high position I have today so I could save the lives of many people. No, don't be afraid. Indeed, I myself will take care of you and your families. And he spoke very kindly to them, reassuring them. So he wasn't like, God! No, he was like, hey, it's all right. I'm here to help you. Years after Joseph's initial confrontation with his brothers in Egypt, he had to face the forgiveness issue again when their father Jacob died at the age of 147. Can you imagine? At death, when you go through different sorrow points or pivotal points in your life, you go back and you rehearse. You have to battle with rehearsing those old hurts again. So his dad, the love of his life, died. Joseph's brothers immediately began to worry that he might unleash years of stored up vengeance against them now that Jacob was no longer around to intervene. But Joseph had truly forgiven them. He had no desire. Let me say that again. He had no desire. Say it with me. He had no desire for revenge. Amen? You got to ask God to take away that desire for revenge in your heart. Don't think you deserve that desire. Last slide, and I'm closing. Forgiveness isn't a one-time action of the heart, but a continual choice of the will. Forgiveness is surrendering the right to hurt you for hurting me. It's surrendering the right to hurt you for hurting me. Joseph knew what it was to spend time in a physical prison. So he was determined not to spend time in an emotional one. He chose to release his brothers permanently, knowing that in the process, he was also releasing himself. He never wanted to go back to either jail again. Some of us have had the privilege of going to jail, whether to see someone or whether for other reasons. Let me tell you something, both are not fun. Don't put yourself in the prison of unforgiveness. Release people so that you can move on to your destiny. Settle it in your heart forever that forgiveness is going to be a lifestyle, not just a one-time occurrence. Can we commit to that?
Yes.
Stand to your feet, everybody.